Welcome back. Glad you could rejoin us after the break. We're still delighted to be in the company of Zoe Johnson, the team manager of Sheffield FC Ladies, with Rob O'Neill, Sheffield Wednesday's official club commentator, online on the website with Wednesday Player, doing his stuff with John Pearson, and James Gregg joins us as well to update everything else around the city. And just before we do, Euro 16, are you enjoying that?
Oh, brilliant. Absolutely fantastic.
Me too.
Every evening. I mean, it's such a shame that we've got sort of like a little break, isn't it, really?
Oh, I don't know. I'm enjoying it. I enjoy it more if you have a break. It's blissful today, no football, and tomorrow's no football as well.
I'm just sat there tonight, you know, obviously we're on here tonight, but I'm going to get into that. I'm going to be a bit of a loose end. I'm going to have to watch some old football or something like that. No, I'm really joking. But you know.
No, there's no loose end. People are watching this.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly, yeah. Make up for it. Sporting
Absolutely.
Fix on a Thursday
and the home nations going through. Somebody corrected me the other night. Republic of Ireland isn't one of the home nations, but I mean, people are very pedantic and split hairs, aren't they?
British Isles, yeah.
Yeah, who would have thought that all of them would be through? Even England.
It's been great, isn't it? I mean, you know, you look at the way that Wales are playing, won the group as well. You know, fantastic effort. You know, they've all got different strengths, haven't they? They all approach it in a different way, but I think it's fantastic the way the whole tournament has panned out. You're right about the games. I never quite understand why do they put 2 games on at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't make sense to me. You've got to make your mind up and decide which game you're going to watch.
Yeah, I think the thing is with that actually is because so there's no tomfoolery, as it were. So you know, two sides have a result and then they think, right, we'll play out a 0-0, which has of course happened in previous World Cups and Euros where we've seen some scandalous football matches, haven't we?
Teams knowing what they have to do and stuff like that. It's a good point.
Absolutely.
What do you think? Wales v Northern Ireland, Zoe? Just a pity one of them's got to go, but it does guarantee one of them getting through.
It does, yeah. No, I would never have guessed that they would have all been through. And do you know what I mean? I think it's great, isn't it, for football that they're all through. And do you mean I've loved being able to watch football every day like yourselves, and like I'm gutted like you, James, that there's a little bit of a break, to be honest.
It's just me getting old. And no stamina for watching three games a day. On behalf of youartheref.com, I'm watching for refereeing errors as well.
Yeah,
but they've been none. That's been the wonderful thing. The referees have been really good in the main. Nice to see the English referees doing well as well. Before we carry on with our various chats about Sheffield FC Ladies and Sheffield Wednesday, another name. Threw those in before the break. Ross McCormack, Stephen Fletcher, Stuart Downing, David Cottrell. You've got another good one. Plausible.
Yeah, I saw Grant Hanley linked, centre-half at Blackburn Rovers. Apparently he's been one of their mainstays of their defence. I could see some logic in that. I think we probably do want another central defender with Sasso having departed. He was on loan. I think there's a gap at left back, obviously probably 2 gaps, because remember both Bennett and Daniel were on loan, so you could see some movement in those areas. So
Tudor wants to come back.
He wants to, but it's whether the fee's going to be right. I think if it starts getting up to £2 million, I might think twice about it. But I think it depends whether they're sensible, because he's a good player, he's a steady player. But I think the fee needs to be right.
It absolutely does. It's a big ace in a club's pack if the player wants to come, because he can just turn down the others, you know, and just wait. And you never know, it might be a season loan again.
I think he's content. I think he likes Sheffield. He's got right into the ice hockey scene. You know, that's a big part of his life. You know, you can see that he's happy, you know, in Sheffield. So that's a big plus. And obviously he knows Fernando as well from Watford, so he wants to come. I've got no doubt about that, but it's just about whether the finances are going to be right.
The £2 million looks over the top. Who have you got this weekend, Zoe? Who are you playing this weekend?
We've got still in our break at the moment. We are back in action next Saturday evening at home against Bristol in the Continental Cup.
You beat them last time out, didn't you?
We did, yes.
Come on, hey?
We've had quite a good run against Bristol, so hopefully it doesn't come to an end. We drew with them away from home, second game of the season, and then just before our break we got our 3-1 first league win.
What's the break for? I mean, it might be really blindingly obvious, but I know speaking to some players' agents from the league above, and they were like, you know, sort of got a bit of a break and training a bit and stuff. What is that for? Is it just? It's
an international break, really, for the international players. So it doesn't really. We do have some internationals that play for us, but more younger end, so it doesn't really massively affect us. So it's not been great for our momentum, but it's just part of the league.
Just getting into a nice run as well, weren't you, before that? Yeah. So does it feel like starting again?
We've had some good friendlies. The thing is, obviously, none of the winter women's teams are in season at the moment. So we've only been able to play against WSL 1 teams in friendlies. We played against Notts County and Liverpool last week. We actually got a win against Notts County, and then we played Liverpool in a friendly. We lost 2-0 against them last week. But each time we play Liverpool quite a lot, and each time we've started playing against them, we're still picking up positives, and we're showing that we actually are able to compete with some of the top teams.
What about yourself as manager? We were talking in the first half, James, about Zoe just being 26, and I don't think there's a younger manager in the country.
No, certainly not. No.
You know, even our friend Ryan Hindley at Hallam, he must be 27.
I know you think of him as being a sort of a youthful, sprightly character, and he's mid-30s.
You've concentrated on a coaching career rather than a playing career, haven't you, for a long time?
I certainly have, yeah. I think, do you know what I mean? A lot of my players will say that I'm an awful player, but I think I'm pretty good. I've just concentrated, do you know, from being a young age of 16, really.
What, did you find out at 16 you were no good, or what?
I just thought I'm never going to play at the top level, but I want to still be involved at the top level, so I took that coaching route and thought that's the way that I want to go, and I've kind of just stuck at it. And
why not? Because you've got the case of so many top managers, Jose Mourinho being a great example. I haven't got any kind of playing pedigree. Arsene Wenger, very little.
Yeah, well, hopefully I can follow in Jose Mourinho's footsteps. Who knows?
Nice. where's the top for you? Like, you know, when you're looking and you imagine yourself as sort of 50-year-old, you know, if you're still working at that point. And
I can't imagine you at 50.
I was going to say, I can't either, to be fair. But I'm saying, you know, you get to 50 years old, what ideally would you want to be doing?
God, you're asking me something there.
I know. You know, sorry, it's got to be.
That's Mourinho's job at Man United.
That's the one, yeah.
That wasn't on the list of questions I discussed with him before. That's a wild card. That is brilliant.
Yeah, probably. Do you know what I mean? Working in the highest end of the women's game, and we're slowly going there, and hopefully it can be managing Sheffield FC in WSL 1. I have to say that, don't I?
Yeah. Tick that box. Nice one, I like that.
It's great to see you. You've had a few mentions already from this bloke, so take it away, James.
I will.
Tell us what's going on.
I will do. We've already touched on them, you know, in action next weekend. Back in action against Bristol City, who we already mentioned, won last time out against them. We'll start with Sheffield Eagles, well, and the Tigers as well, Speedway. 2 signings for each club. Eagles, they've completed the signings of Catalan Dragons duo Stan Robin and Thibaut Margalet. Thank you for the pronunciation. They're on loan until the end of the season. Catalan Dragons, of course, from the Super League. They've got a wealth of experience, and that's just what Mark Aston's side will need, because they're coming off the back of 6 straight defeats, which I know will not please the big man at all. They've got Featherstone Rovers on Friday night. The 2 loan signings won't actually be able to play because they're actually still in France. So they've got to get themselves across and get themselves settled in. Robin,
shocking run.
Exactly, it's a very bad run, especially for a side who were aiming for top 4 and hopefully Super League rugby next season. And I mean, Corey Aston, who is Mark's son, he's got a bit of competition in Robin. He's got a bucket load of Super League games under his belt, and he's a France international as well. Interesting to see how that one pans out. Sheffield Tigers Speedway, they're in action tonight against Redcar tonight at Ollerton, and tomorrow night they play away against Redcar. So work that one out. The 4th in the table, they've got games in hand, as I mentioned last week as well. And they've also brought in a couple of youngsters with bright futures this week, expected to feature tonight. So I'll give you an update on that on next week's programme. Cricket, well, weather intervened yet again to prevent any play for our 2 Yorkshire South League Premier sides. It's a stupid way of saying it, isn't it? I say it wrong and different every single week. After progressing via a bowl out against Aston Hall in the T20 last week, due to bad weather, Collegiate returned to their ground last week, and they didn't even take to the field. Nightmare. But they welcome Doncaster Town to Aberdale this week, looking to close the gap to Cleethorpes in 3rd place. Billy Root, he's taken up the batting mantle. He's just scored just shy of 300 runs this season, and he will be looking for more. Sheffield United play against Treaton. Got to mention,
I'm going to go to Aberdale Saturday for part of that. I love summer afternoons at Aberdale.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yorkshire League cricket. Go on.
Good standard. Got to mention Azim Rafiq. Some of you in cricketing circles may recall that he's played a load of first-class games, List A and T20 games for Yorkshire in years gone by. He sort of got fed out of that system last year, released from his contract. And last week he got signed till the end of the season again by Yorkshire. Featured in the T20 against Derbyshire and picked up a couple of wickets, so well done to him. And of course, good luck to him on Saturday as he captains his side against Treaton. And finish off with some golf as well. Matt Fitzpatrick out of action this week, having a week off, but didn't stop his brother from picking up the Sheffield Plate title yesterday by 5 strokes. Very, very impressive indeed. And Danny Willett, he's in action where he won his first event of his career at the BMW International Open, but he's opened poorly with a 2-over par 74.
Excellent. Thanks very much, James. What we're going to do now is we're going to severely embarrass one of our guests.
Okay.
Yeah, Rob O'Neill.
I love that. That sounds good to me.
because radio reporters, and I've done plenty of radio over the years, we're used to being heard, but we're not used to being seen while we're getting very excited at the microphone, are we? So we're pretty free from that kind of pressure. We can stand up, grimace, pull all manner of faces, yell and shout, and nobody can see us. But
now.
Here we go.
yeah,
Looking forward to seeing this.
He's had some great moments. I think one of them was the goals against Brighton in the first leg of the playoff semi-final at Hillsborough. But what you won't have seen before, well, this is from Wembley, and this is sad. Now, of course.
Is that just because John's not there alongside me? He was watching it as a fan.
Oh, right. So was it? Who were you with?
I was with Lee Peacock that day.
You were with Lee Peacock, ex-Wednesday striker Lee Peacock, who was part of the Lee Bullen team that won Paul Sturrock in 2005. Yeah. So it's Lee Peacock and yourself, and this was the downer, wasn't it? Yes. But it was a great goal. So the stadiums are up to you.
I wasn't thinking that at the time, funny enough. It was a great goal, but
Diarmi scoring for Hull, and you've got to kind of admire the goal. But I've not seen this. So anyway, this is Lee Peacock with this guy here behind the microphone at Wembley.
Went into the feet there of Snodgrass. Now it's turned backwards towards Curtis Davis. Curtis Davis.
Get through the keeper.
Forward. Oh, what a great touch there, Tom Lees. He's giving it back towards Snodgrass. He might go alone. It was on his wrong foot, perhaps. But here's a chance, and it's sent into the top corner. And Hull City have made the breakthrough in the Championship playoff final. 71 minutes on the watch, and it's curled into the top corner, just out of the reach of Kieran Westwood. It needed to be something special to beat Westwood today, and it's fair to say that was something special from Diarmi, a Premier League player in all but name this season. He could be back playing there again next season. He's given Hull City the lead against Sheffield Wednesday. It's Hull 1, Sheffield Wednesday 0. It's a poor clearance, isn't it, from Tom Lees?
Gone with the wrong foot outside the right.
It's curled in over the top of Westwood. He's a few yards off his goal line. Just can't get there.
I mean, go with your left foot, go with your head. Outside the right is a risk.
Oh, we love that.
We do. Lee Peacock's face is absolutely priceless. You do manfully there in giving credit to that. Well, it was a great strike from Diarmi, but Lee Peacock's seen a great goal. And his face, his hand over his face.
I'm going to say that's really good how you managed to carry on talking with your hands over your face. It was brilliant.
Thinking,
what were you thinking?
I just thought we didn't turn up on the day, to be honest. I just thought, are we going to rally? Are we going to see the response? Because we're used to seeing a second half reaction.
Yes.
Last season, that was the thought. What happened? Wednesday would play sort of like average in the first half, and then he'd change it at half time. But all the subs didn't seem to have an impact in the game. And you just couldn't see us scoring. I mean, there was one moment where there was a shout.
Late on. Yeah, this is it. We've got a short clip of this. Yeah. And there was some belated excitement. Wednesday threw the kitchen sink too late in the last couple of minutes. And then this happened. And I was wondering at the time myself, was this a penalty? And this is you describing it.
You guys, you could still get your heads to this one and take it to extra time. Oh, handball! Handball! Like handball, Lucas Shaw from close range struck it, and the defender gets in the way of it. That is handball! It is handball! Unbelievable! It was Dawson again, it's headed back through. Can Hooper get there? Deflects up over the top, and it's going to be a corner. Come on!
I reckon you thought that was handball.
On the replay, because you get a little screen at Wembley, so you can see that what's happened a split second later. I wasn't totally sure at the time. I think Lee initially was calling it handball. I was sort of hedging my bets, but as soon as I see the replay, I think, well, he's handled it.
It did hit the elbow but it was point blank though, wasn't
I know.
it? Be honest.
You're looking for something at that stage. It does touch his arm, so we'll take it.
Clutching at straws of it.
We'll take it at that stage of the game.
That's the first time that footage has been seen. It's not even been on Twitter, that.
No, it's the first time. It was, I took the camera again, having done the Brighton game, and thought, well, let's see what happens. But you don't want to share it with the world after you lose. Kind of left it, gathering dust.
Well, I thought Lee Peacock was on a mission there. I thought he was going to take his headphones off and get down on the pitch and shout at the referee there.
Well, he was
so
trying his
animated.
best as well, because he was telling me, I'll try my best not to swear, because he was really worried about swearing around the commentary, so that could have been the point.
Do people lose it in the women's game quite the same as they do in the men's game, Zoe? Do they embarrass themselves as much?
Yeah, of course they do. I think so. I think that's football, isn't it?
That coy smile tells me definitely.
No matter what level, I think
and what do you
emotions run high.
And what do you like as manager at half time and full time then? What do you
I'd like to say I'm quite composed really, but obviously sometimes emotions get the better of you, and I've had a few moments. But
teacup, flying saucers and things?
Not quite that bad.
What is it that riles you the most? So you come off, let's say in hypothetical situation, you lose 1-0 to Bristol next week. Hope that doesn't happen, by the way. But you lose 1-0 next week. What would rile you the most in the dressing room with one of your players or several of them?
I think work rate's the big one. As long as as long as the players give absolutely everything and they run the socks off, then you can't be that frustrated. But
why would a player not? I mean, it's got to be the bare minimum. I just don't understand why a player would not.
It happens. It happens. You know what I mean? I think equally we've had 1-0 defeats this season where we have been by far the best team and we've just not been able to finish in the back of the net. And you go in training and we score goals galore, and you go on the game sometimes and we're waiting and we have literally 50, 60 chances.
Yeah.
Away at Oxford was one, and then they break once on the counter attack and score. And
frustrating.
That is painful. It's hard. You know what I mean? You reflect long and hard. And you think, what can you be doing better? But
well, are you? I was going to say something. Rescue me. Ask another question, because there was something I was going to ask. I've forgotten all.
So when you play in these games though, sometimes you've got to be philosophical, haven't you? If you'll lose it, if you'd have gone straight up and you'd have won your first 4 on the spin, that's great, and yes, you're halfway up the table and you've got a bit of leeway. But do you think that having this little break after having a bit of momentum and coming back off some losses, that's going to help you in the long run for the rest of the season? Actually working out what to patch up. Do you think that's going to help you towards the end of the season?
Yeah, I think it will. Do you know what I mean? I've seen a massive difference in the squad over the last 2 or 3 weeks. We just look like something's clicked, and I hope I don't speak too soon, and I hope we show that. Do you know what I mean? The Continental Cup, it's not the end of the world, obviously, but the league game, the next league fixture is the 10th of July at home against Everton, and that's where I hope the hard work over this break and the momentum that we slowly started to build really, really has done us the world of good, and we go into Everton well.
What crowd can you expect? I mean, that's an attractive fixture. By and large, general figures, what crowds are you getting? Against
Durham, I think every man and his dog seemed to turn up. It was, do you know what I mean? Everyone was there. That we walked out and we had over 500 fans there, and it was astonishing to see. They dropped slightly because that was an evening kick-off on a midweek, and we got like a lot that would obviously normally be going to the men's games or things like that come, but I think we've been averaging just under 400, which is a massive increase from last season.
And the men's game is getting, I think, 200, ish spectators.
Yeah.
So you're getting twice as many.
We are, yeah.
There. And what about the development in the women's game? I remember covering a few games for 5 Live, but going back like 10, 15 years ago, and it was really difficult because sometimes the standard wasn't very good, and you knew that as a male commentator, reporter, that if you said that, you're going to be accused of being prejudiced or patronising, whatever. But it strikes, and you can equally be accused of being patronising by saying how much it's come on. That's one of the difficulties we've got. But it really has. What areas do you think have improved the most?
I think, do you know what? I think every area you can possibly think of has improved. Do you know what I mean? From financial backing from clubs down to the quality of the players, the professionalism of the players. I think male fans buying into it. Do you know what I mean? Some men, like you say, they write it off, but then actually when they come and see, we've had a new coach come down to us, John Williams, who I was saying, who works from Sheffield Wednesday. He come down and he was absolutely gobsmacked when he's seen actually we do things the right way, we do things professionally, and he said, to be honest, I've always taken women's football quite lightly, and that was one of the areas that I think has just massively improved, that now it's becoming more common knowledge to people actually women's football's on the horizon. I think it's just helped things massively.
The tackling, the heading particularly, I thought, I don't know what you think or you guys think.
Yeah, I think that
so
physical
much.
side of the game, I personally believe is better than the men's game, because you don't get them rolling around like the men's do.
Yeah,
Great
absolutely.
point.
No, you're right. Yeah, and
Brilliant point.
played properly, isn't it?
And let's hope that doesn't ever come into the game. Is there a risk it ever will, as it becomes more and more professional?
I hope not. For people that come down and watch Sheffield FC, we have Ellie Gilliat who likes to make a meal of things, but other than that, we're a pretty strong physical team.
And you've got a higher pain threshold then, you're telling us?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
In terms of some of the, like your Frank Kirby's and obviously Rachel Yankees coming towards the end of her career now, but some of those types of players, how much have they influenced sort of young girls and women as well wanting to get into football? And also, the more coverage that they're getting, I know it's obvious that there's going to be a correlation, but how important do you think that is? Obviously the BBC showing a lot more women's football and trying to cover it a bit more with the highlights.
Yeah, it's massive.
Yeah.
Really is massive. Do you know what I mean? You go now and you see little girls walking around with England female players on the back of the shirts. You would never normally see it. You'd see them with 10 Rooney on the back. Now you see them with actually England players on the back. We have it with our sister club programme that we have in place now with the grassroots clubs in Sheffield. They come down, and all the young girls that come down from various ages are dying to meet our girls, to get photos, to get signatures. And I think the older players now in the game are absolute role models and just making the game grow quicker and quicker every season, really.
Have you a tie-up as well with schools in terms of your home matches and getting people to the games?
Yeah, we do assemblies in local schools in Sheffield, and we go and promote the game that's going to be happening, and we give them some tickets and things, and obviously it helps to get people through the gate, and that's what it's about, really, just making ourselves known to a wider audience, really.
Excellent.
Got to ask you this as well. What chance do you think you have of staying there this season in that division and then getting up next season?
There's no relegation this season. I was surprised because I asked that.
Okay.
But
There's no relegation. Like I said to Alan earlier on, I don't think we'd be down there anyway. I don't believe we would be. I believe that but it's everyone's first question. I do believe that we're better than that. We've got a good squad. I think the club has to have a long-term plan of being promoted into the WSL 1. My personal preference would be that 3 years' time that we're in WSL 1. And
owls or blades?
I can't possibly comment on that.
Who do you
Not why they're both here.
We're grilling you here.
Yeah.
Which team do you actually support?
I have a season ticket at Manchester United.
Right.
I see,
There we are.
We got that before the programme started.
Yeah, we did. But I was trying to pin it down. Sheffield Wednesday next season, where are they going to finish, Rob? Nice, easy question.
Nice, easy question. Well, I think there's no reason why we can't go on and do it this time. Obviously, we'll wait and see what those signings will be, because I think we do need 3 or 4, permanent recruits. But I think we can do top 2. I do. Yeah. I think if we get off to the right start, if we can recruit wisely, then I think that's got to be the target. I don't want to go through the playoffs anyway after last time. I kept boasting, actually. Told my friends at Sheffield United fan, we never lose in playoffs. Well,
Terrible record, both of them now. Anyway, but not with Lee Bullen. No. Next week, Craig Armstrong. I was just trying to think there. Who's in next week? Craig Armstrong, former Wednesday player. Redsbury Blues charity game coming up. He's going to talk about that. James, thanks very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Rob O'Neill. Delighted with those highlight moments. Zoe, thank you for joining us. 11 p.m. repeat, or on my YouTube channel later. See you next week. Bye.